Behold, my friends, the spring is come. The earth has gladly received the embraces of the sun, and we shall soon see the results of their love. That was Sitting Bull at an Indian council back in 1875. In spring, nature bursts forth with rising yang energy, and you may feel this energy within to start new projects, a new exercise routine, or revisit your life's direction. And just as nature requires the right conditions to prosper and grow and to feel balanced and re energized, so do we. In this episode, we'll show you how to shake off winter with tools and techniques from the ancient practices of Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine for spring wellness. I am Rose Whippich.
And I'm Jennifer Age.
And this is Chat Off the Mat. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Jen, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself, Rose?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm excited about this episode. Anytime we talk about this topic of wellness with these beautiful, traditional, holistic approaches to healing, I just love to share
Yeah.
this. It's great.
Yeah, same. And there's just so much to unpack
Oh my
when
gosh,
we
yes. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all
It,
good.
it's I know personally I could say it has been life-changing for me on so many levels.
Mhm.
Without getting into that, I know you have some really good information to start us off with.
Yeah. So everybody, we're going to talk to you today about just some qualities of spring, and then we will go through just some balances and imbalances you can feel and the associations with Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine. Both Rose and I teach, as you know, yoga and qigong, so we pull from those practices tips and advice for living off of the mat as well. So we're both very excited to share these things with you. So I'm going to start us off with just talking about the qualities of spring. Not sure how you all are feeling right now, but this is a transitional season. Fall is our other transitional season. Depending on where you live, the air, the energy of the region that you live in can vary. But one thing is for certain is that we're transitioning from winter into summer. So that's the same no matter where you are. But the seasonal energies may be a little bit different. But some places the snow is melting, the ground tends to get very moist. That water starts to settle into the ground. And then also things are starting to grow, to come to life. We have the rebirth from the hibernation of winter, and we're ready. A lot of times you may be feeling like you're ready to cleanse. Maybe you're feeling rejuvenated, and maybe you're feeling a little bit lighter. And maybe you just want to start to move around more to feel those deep tissues in the body, you want to open them and stretch them. But sometimes this can be difficult because we need to shed the habits that we take on to keep us healthy during the winter time. And this is really like some of the focus of what we want to talk about today, is to make it a healthy transition for you. Because spring, as we're beginning this wheel again, we want to start it off like just nice and clean and clear. So typically, we are moving. So we're moving from that full yin energy of winter into a new yang energy of the spring time. So typically, you feel joyous and inspired, enthusiastic, caring, compassionate, gentle, or sometimes maybe you feel irritated. And this can include irritation, not only just emotionally, but a lot of people, I know for myself, I'm starting to feel more allergies happen within the nose, the eyes, or maybe you're feeling like sluggish and lethargic, not clear minded or heavy, maybe angry. Sometimes even poor digestion can occur. So hopefully when we start to unpack, the things about Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, we can really help you figure out those things and sort them out. So Rose, did you have anything to add for that portion.
Yeah, I think tuning in tuning in within and noticing what you're feeling. We're always moving so rapidly through life, we never really pause. And I say this in every episode: pause, tune in, notice how you're feeling, notice if your nose is running, notice if you have that cough, notice if you feel tired and when you feel tired. How's your digestion? These are things that, we once you know what is going on within the body and also in your mind, how are you feeling emotionally and energetically, then you can incorporate the right tools that we're going to teach you today. So really kind of scanning the body, making that a practice daily. So.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I was just thinking today, I don't know if this ever happened with you, Rose, when you first started practicing like yoga and stuff, and I would be in like meditation or shavasana, and they would say like, listen to the messages of your body. And I'd be like, what do they mean, listen to the messages of my body? What are they talking about? Did I forget like my password to listen to my messages or something? Like, but then as I started to study this stuff more, I realized, oh, messages like if I feel tension somewhere, if I feel achy somewhere, or my digestion is poor, like, our body is giving us little signals to say, hey, this is what's going on here. And before it becomes this big, loud boom sound, if we do tap into those messages, like you were saying, we can start to work on them earlier
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Yeah.
Okay, so you are going to then move into traditional Chinese medicine in
Yeah.
spring. Do you want to
Okay.
start that? Okay,
Sure.
cool.
Sure. No problem. Yeah.
Love it.
So, Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine draws its wisdom from the natural world. So, the ancient Taoist doctors regarded this transition into spring as a time of renewal. In TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, the season is associated with the wood element, known for its strength and flexibility. When it comes to weather, the wood element is associated with the wind, which reflects the movement and change of the season and the ability to burst through and overcome obstacles. So think about in nature, things are starting to stir underneath the ground, um, uh, absorbing the water from the winter and growing and emerging. Right? And from a spiritual perspective, the wood element is said to house the Hyun, or the ethereal spirit, which manifests in our dreams and in our imagination. So in spring, it's a good time to reflect on where you're going and what aspect of your current life you're choosing to leave behind. And I think we talked about shedding that coat, literally shedding that physical coat, as well as that metaphysical or spiritual coat. Letting go and releasing what is basically heavy in our lives. And as our bodies adjust to the new season, our goal is to keep everything in balance. I mean, nature knows what to do to keep itself in balance. And when something happens, it knows how to find its way back to that and create that harmony. But as humans, we sometimes rush through life. And as we said at the beginning, we are not aware that we have a cold or that we're tired and we're about to pass out, because there's so much we need to get done in life. And we become secondary or even beyond that because we're taking care of everyone else. And with also with the energy, the qualities of spring, we need to tune into how we're feeling mentally. So tuning into that emotion of being frustrated or angry, which is associated with the liver. So in traditional Chinese medicine, we focus on the organs of the liver and the gallbladder, which are paired together, the liver being the yin organ and the gallbladder the yang, kind of like a pairing, a partner. These are what we focus on. So these two elements are the primary focus. Then they are part of the wood element. I have some notes here. So there's meridians in our bodies, or energy channels. And when these energy channels to these organs are blocked or stagnant, that's when disease or discomfort is created. So talking about the liver, if we don't remove toxins in our liver, then it could be sluggish. And that's where that feeling of sluggishness comes in. It cannot process what it needs to process and the blood and the nutrients through it. So we need to take care of that. Sometimes doing a cleanse that is comfortable for you can help. And the gallbladder is what helps to move bile out of the liver. All right. And the gallbladder, sometimes people have the gallbladder removed. And a lot of times I think it's from what they're eating, not eating the right foods. And then they have that removed and they feel better. But still, the body needs these organs to properly function. Um, so having weak chi, weak energy in these organs or in these energy channels can create or bring about such things as arthritis or headaches, jaw problems, stiff muscles, because they both rule the tendons and the ligaments, indecisiveness, right? And when your chi in these areas are strong, you don't feel as stiff. You're coming out of spring, out of winter, excuse me, you may feel those stiff bones and those stiff ligaments. So we're going to talk later about how we can help eliminate or relieve some of that stiffness. And also from an emotional level, when you're in balance, you're not feeling angry or frustrated. You're feeling confident and bold and kinder and more compassionate towards yourself and towards others. So these are just some of the qualities of spring from a traditional Chinese medicine. And then later on, we'll talk about inviting some of the appropriate conditions and tools to balance these energies.
That's beautiful. I also had a couple things to add to that too. Is that the energy is upward rising and expansive, and if you think about, because Rose was talking about the wood element with spring, so if you think about a tree, it grows up. It grows upwards, and also it, the wood represents a connection between heaven and earth. So the roots are grounded in the earth and the seeds. So, nature knows, like, okay, these are the roots. And then nature knows what is supposed to seed upwards. And we do associate spring as well with things growing. So the roots are grounded and the seed sprouts upwards towards the heavens. And the tree uses the energy from the earth and the sky in a very humbling way, collectively. So a lot of times when you look in like Taoist philosophy and stuff like that, they associate the wood element with that connection between heaven and earth. So yeah, and then also the color is green as well, and we associate green with spring a lot because we're starting to see things sprout and bud. And the eyes are very important, also associated with the livers, the eyes as well. So those are a few things, and the quality of the wood energy is honesty as well. So if you think about trees and just their upward rising energy and everything, I think that's very appropriate. So I love that, Rose. That's wonderful.
And I love the using the tree as a metaphor because it does signify. I use it a lot when I teach. It does signify that strength and that stability. But just like in life, we need to be flexible. And when we grow these branches, we grow upward and outward towards the heavens or in any direction that we're moving forward. In order to have that flexibility, then that will help to, I won't say eliminate frustration or anger or any of those other things that are created by our blocked chi, but it can help us to maneuver around them a little better and understand what we need to do to ground us. It's about grounding ourselves when we're not feeling stable and secure. So I love that tree metaphor. Thanks for bringing that in. It's great. So,
Absolutely. My
so,
pleasure.
so I think maybe we can transition into the Ayurvedic approach
Yeah.
to spring energy, which I love, and I think you're going to share that with us, Jen.
Yeah, absolutely. And listeners, in case you weren't aware, so qigong and yoga and cultures in this part of the world, there are some overlaps and stuff, and it's just a lot of fun to make those connections between them and learn from both of them and just pull from the wisdom of all these practices. So I'm so thankful for that as well. So Ayurveda and spring. So Ayurveda is and traditional with yoga, um, yoga traditions. I'm sorry. But in Sanskrit, okay, so Ayurveda in spring is associated with Kapha dosha. It's spelled Kapha. And in Sanskrit, the word Kapha means that which flourishes in water. So how fitting is that we're moving from this later winter energies and we're kind of melting into spring. So Kapha season. This is Kapha season. So Kapha is associated with earth and water. So it's very solid and grounded. And also the secondary element with it is water. And Kapha rules late winter and early to mid spring. And as spring moves to summer, we see this transition from Kapha into Pitta energies. Excuse me. And Kapha is the physical, as far as physically, Kapha is the physical structures of the body. So it's associated with our metabolism and circulation. And these things can be a little bit slower than in the other doshas. So when we talk about doshas, we're talking about Pitta, Kapha, and Vata doshas. And these three doshas, everybody's a combination of them, and they have to do with just our natural disposition. We're born with kind of naturally these different types of elements with us, and this is how they break that down in Ayurveda. And so Kapha contains, like I said, the earth and water, and then Pitta is fire and water, and then Vata is air and is it earth, Rose?
Ether.
Ether. Sorry, air and ether. No,
Hmm.
that's the
No?
same thing. Air and ether is the
Oh,
same thing.
oh, right, right.
Vata is, oh, it is air and ether.
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry.
Okay. That's why we're here together.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
one of those,
Seriously.
ether is one of those things you don't really hear about a lot. You don't talk
Mm-hmm.
about until you talk
Yeah.
about Ayurveda. So,
Mm-hmm.
and being a Vata, I
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. So, just doing a quick rundown, and we've been so entrenched in the qigong world that for me, going back to the dosh is a little bit of a review. So, anyways, the qualities of it are heavy, moist, cold, soft, and stable. And when you're in balance, you feel light, warm, mobile, and dry. So Kapha dosha is that heavy earth, watery energy. That's stability. It's very kind and gentle energy. If you have a friend that's that stable friend, they probably have a lot of those Kapha energies in them. So that's pretty much my summary on Kapha dosha and Ayurveda. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
have a fun fact on the word kapha.
Yeah.
The word cough comes from kapha. And
Ooh.
cough is what happens. Well, of course, in the kapha season in spring, we have mucus and asthma and lung issues. So those are things that are prevalent during this time.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things we're going to talk about is like foods and not eating a lot of dairy during this time, not eating a lot of things that are oily, just lighter, that will help offset some of those allergy related symptoms that you can experience in the spring. Um, no, as far as and the other thing is, I mentioned cleansing at the beginning when I was talking about traditional Chinese medicine and how the liver can benefit from a cleanse. One of the traditional ways in Ayurveda that a person does a very simple cleansing is by making khichdi. Khichdi is a sort of a stew or soup made with basmati rice and mung beans and spices such as ginger and turmeric, coriander. It also it depends on the type of uh, seasonings also that are go well with you. So if you're allergic to anything, you can't put that in there, and also incorporates seasonal vegetables as well. And khichdi is eaten maybe 2 or 3 days, and it balances that digestion. So if you can't go to the bathroom, so Ayurveda is all about digestion. If you can't go to the bathroom, and it's that transition season, you're still adjusting, and you eat some khichdi, it will help to move things through the intestines. So you may want to look into that. Khichdi. It's just really simple way of balancing your stomach, your intestines, and your digestion, which I know I have benefited from in the past, and will be making some khichdi soon as well as we move in the spring. Khichdi for everybody. So I think it's a good time we could talk about a little bit more about some of the ways we can balance our energy. Should we start with some of the food items that
Sure.
we can
Yeah.
incorporate?
Yeah, and one thing I'd like listeners to know is to, like Rose was saying in the beginning, everybody's we can give like a guide and a template, but everything's about understanding where you're at, and one thing I'd like to say is that like increases like. So for example, if you're feeling the overstimulation from spring and overstimulation of kapha, which is like, that heavy, too heavy of an energy, you're feeling too lethargic, don't add in things that will increase those qualities. So a good thing to do is, this time of year is pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes, and eat warm, light foods that are relatively easy to digest. When we were talking about our winter wellness, we're talking about a little bit of a warmer, more oily food, a little heavier food then, and now we're transitioning. So we still want to eat those warm foods, but then maybe just lighter. So if your vegetables, you can saute them or lightly steam them, for example, and you want to make them easy to digest. And so I have here a nice list here. So for fruits, you can still continue to do apples. Some good things to do too are you can start inviting in some berries like blueberries and cherries, and cranberries. They're another good one. Lemon and limes are still on there. Raspberries, strawberries. So you can really get in some of those nice berries right now. Vegetables, artichoke, asparagus. So asparagus is great for cleaning the liver. It's a great vegetable for liver cleansing. Yeah, it's good for liver health. And I want to say too, when Rose and I bring up things like about the organ of the liver, it's not to say there's anything wrong with your liver. It's just that we're saying, hey, this is the time of year you want to support it and maybe give it a little TLC, and stuff like that. That's why when
Exactly.
we, yeah.
Exactly. I didn't
And
realize how important until I started learning more about traditional Chinese medicine, which I learned through my yin yoga training as part of that. How much attention we really should give to our organs. We take them for granted. They're in there doing their thing, and we forget. We don't realize that there's so much energy that we can move, or that could be stagnant and affecting
mm-hmm.
those organs. So it's really important to tune into how you're feeling in the organs. So
Yeah.
yeah, but go in and you look at your lifestyle. Look at what you're eating. What you're eating is I don't know. I'll throw out a percentage, maybe 70% of how you're feeling is based on what you're putting into your body, right? So ingesting the right things, the right nutrients.
Yeah,
So if you don't like
absolutely.
asparagus, just try it. It's
Yeah. And you can
eat
find
it for your
different
health.
ways to cook it, but maybe your body just, it wasn't made for you either. Like we were talking about our natural dispositions as well, based on our
Right,
doshic balance as
right.
well. Yeah. But I know, yeah, but asparagus, there's definitely something getting cleansed out because you
You smell it.
you smell it. I didn't want to go.
Always.
I didn't want to say it, but you smell it.
You smell it.
Yeah. So some other good vegetables: garlic. Leeks. Leeks is still on there, which everybody knows that's one of my faves. We have lettuce, so you can start incorporating lettuce back into your diet. Onion, peas, white potatoes. Another one of my favorites. Spinach. Turnips are nice as well. Collard greens,
Yeah.
chilies. Chilies
Hmm.
are still on the list. So grains, celery is on there as well. So celery is a great one. And also it's a good way of getting water. So
Yeah, celery is huge. Everybody, I actually drink celery juice regularly. As a matter of fact, I remember to drink it today. So I use a juicer and I juice my celery, and it
yeah.
just feels like you're cleansing your body with that. Really,
Mm-hmm.
if you've never tried it, it's something to get used to. But I like to add maybe a carrot or an apple, and I add ginger to that. So good. So
When I do vegetable like juicing, I like to add a little bit of lemon juice as
mm-hmm.
well. Some
Yeah.
lemon juice really kind of gives a nice flavor to it as well. Okay, so grains. We have barley, buckwheat, corn is on there. I don't have a great reaction to corn. So again, this is me noting how my body is and reacts. Quinoa is on there, basmati rice, which Rose was talking about the kitchery and that uses basmati, doesn't it,
Yeah.
Rose? Yeah.
It's fine.
All right, awesome. And then we have dry oats are okay, tapioca, legumes, so bean sprouts, black beans, great recipe. You can do a black bean hummus.
Mm.
That's really good. Yeah. And garbanzo beans, kidney beans, lima beans, lentils, miso, navy beans, pinto beans, some great stuff. Seeds, popcorn, pumpkin, sunflower. Dairy. So dairy is always in moderation, especially this time of year. But they have cottage cheese, goat's milk, and yogurt.
But you can substitute almond milk if you need any type of, not
Yeah,
dairy, but dairy
yeah,
like, there's so many
yeah,
more products on the shelf now. Coconut milk.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
They have coconut yogurt.
Yeah. I've pulled away from dairy, and I feel so much better, like so much less congestion and
Mm-hmm.
any reaction, like that mucusy
Yeah,
reaction.
especially this time of year.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so animal products, if you eat them, of course, we're giving you a lot of stuff. So, wonderful recipes you can make without using animal products. But eggs, and I'll tell you, I've been cooking a lot of hard boiled eggs lately. So you may notice as you go in the kitchen the things that you crave, and your body's just naturally saying that, like your cravings start to change a little bit. So that was one thing I noticed was I'm starting to crave eggs a lot more. Freshwater fish, poultry, or white meat, shrimp, venison. So oils and in small quantities. So because we're shifting from that kind of kapha, so we want to just kind of reduce the oils right now. But you can do corn oil, flaxseed, ghee, love ghee. And that is something Rose was talking about with cleansing as well. Ghee is a wonderful thing that if you can take a small shot in the morning, you just warm it up a little bit, and you can take a small shot and drink it in the morning, and it helps to kind of cleanse the system.
You put it in
Uh,
your coffee as well. Some
oh,
people do
yeah.
that, but they make this bullet coffee and they put teaspoon of ghee in there, and it makes it creamy.
Ooh,
That's
I
good.
should start doing that.
And it helps with digestion as well. Once again, it's all about digestion. So it does
Oh,
help with
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. And then safflower, excuse me, mustard oil, sweeteners, honey, maple syrup, molasses. And then spices. You still have free range with all the spices. So that's always fun because I like cooking with spices. So just basically, you want to minimize heavy and watery veggies. So kind of move away from the avocado a little bit. The cucumber, olives, sweet potato, squash, or zucchini. And then this is a transitional time. So, it doesn't mean go throw everything away that you have. Just cook them and then start to gradually reduce. And then you can start to introduce those other things we're talking about. And so gradually reduce your intake of the heavy, oily, or fried foods. And then just try not to overeat because, and you probably are feeling less of an appetite right now and stuff like that. And then just avoid so you can see the theme here, just trying to move out from those heavier foods. So heavier sour foods like oranges or bananas. just using less oil. So, and then just reduce the dairy intake, and so hopefully you'll start to feel more lighter and invigorated from those foods. And then as far as herbs, let's see here, teas and herbs. You can do like there's CCF tea, which is cumin, coriander, and
Fennel.
fennel. Yep. I almost wanted to say fenugreek, but I do a separate tea. Anyways, CCF tea, cumin, coriander, fennel tea
Mm-hmm.
is great. You know what's a great tea too, and I'm sipping on that right now. Peppermint tea is really nice right now. That really is great for digestion.
And
And
also,
also mint is good for like the cold and the mucus and stuff like
right.
that. Yeah. And then
Floral
lemon and
teas are
ginger.
floral
Oh yeah.
teas, according to traditional Chinese medicine, some floral teas like hibiscus, rose, goji berries,
Mm,
chrysanthemum teas, which are all on the shelves now. So
mm-hmm.
those are also good for this time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my list though for like the food portion for y'all. So,
I love
and
that. That's a great
yeah,
list.
yeah. And also, food journal. I tell people like if they're feeling crummy the next day, just reflect back on what you ate the day before and just write it down and then put it aside. Now, if you feel that again, write down what you ate the day before, or even, maybe it was immediately following. And then see if you can see a trend with things, because it's never a one size fits all for everyone. So I think food journaling, don't do it because you're trying to like beat yourself up for eating the right or wrong foods, but do it as an educational tool to say, this food, when I eat it, even though it's considered a healthy food, is my body doesn't have the best reaction to it. So maybe I
Right.
should not eat that. And that's like that for me with cinnamon. I love the taste of cinnamon, but I only eat it every once in a while. So
I think that's great. I was going to actually say that. Just write down how you're feeling. If you're not feeling right, think about what you ate. It's just that turning into that awareness on how you're feeling so that you can make those adjustments and eliminate things that, don't make you feel good. Um,
yeah,
and
I
as you were talking
yeah.
too, I was getting this impression of even opening up our windows. Let's think about energy. I always kind of go back to that. And one of the things I tell my students or people is that you need to clear your energy, not just your personal energy, but the energy in your home. And the last episode, Jen talked about how she likes to spring clean. And spring cleaning is throwing out crap in your house that you don't, right? I do. I love doing it. I tell my family, if there's something you don't want me to throw out, just hide it because I may throw it out. I don't, to do that all the time. But open the windows, let it out. Actually, sweep it out. You can't see me unless you're watching the video of me doing this on our rumble stations. But take your hand and actually just sweep that energy right out that window, and do that a few times with the intention that whatever is stagnant and energy gets stagnant in the corners of your spaces or by your desk where you're always at. We have all this energy floating around. Open the windows, let that energy out and let the new energy in. So that's a nice little ceremony you can do in this spring cleaning, and also cleansing your own aura, which I always tell people, especially my Reiki students. Take your hands and just like sweep your energy, or actually take them and rub them along your body and just like sweep that energy off of you, that stagnant energy. Do this at the end of the day before you're going to sleep, and you will sleep better. This is something you could do all the time, not just around springtime, but anytime. You know how we capture everybody's stuff? And I noticed that because if you're empathic, first of all, people will just come to you like a magnet. And you're also absorbing their energy. And it's hard not to, because you're in close proximity to people. Their aura expands, yours is there. So at the end of the day, just sweep your energy as part of that cleansing. And you can do that at any time. Um, if Did you have anything to add to that? I wanted to talk a little bit more about the uh, physical
I I do have a couple.
practice.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go.
Yeah, so before we shift into the physical practices, We talked, so listeners, go check out our last episode about spring equinox because we did talk about intentions. But this time of year, you'll feel like you'll want more focused intentions, and this is the time to be more focused on those, but also to be lighthearted, to be social, to try new and playful things. And Rose discusses in our last episode a lot of that Aries energy and that playful energy. So please go check that out if you hadn't heard that one yet. But also be fluid. Right now is the time for you to invite fluidity with the season, because the season is fluid, especially springtime. It changes from cold to warm, from wet to dry. So you need to adapt your practice to follow suit with that. So I alluded before to like increases like. So if it's cold, heavy, wet, and damp, maybe do a practice where you invigorate some more warmth and activity to it. So just some mindsets for you to adapt. And we mentioned a couple times about journaling, but we're talking about the wood element in the eyes. So sometimes journaling in the morning can really help you see things. So just make that connection as well. So just with a little bit with mindset in there, and just to add those things.
And I also mentioned less screen time.
Yes.
Eyes. I mean, if you
Yeah.
have bloodshot eyes, that's an indication you've a couple of things, but less screen time, really cut back, especially in the evening. Jen and I took an Ayurvedic class about a year or so ago, and we learned a few things. Some things that we learned a lot. Some of the things that stuck out to me is less screen time, especially at night before you go to bed, because your eyes get triggered and you won't be able to sleep. Your eyes are still stimulated.
Mm-hmm.
And also go to sleep early. 10 o'clock bedtime is ideal from an Ayurvedic perspective, as well as don't eat after a certain time. Try to eat between 6 and 7, no later than that, not even snacking at night, because that throws off your digestion. And I'll tell you why. If you eat late at night, especially cold things, your liver processes between 1 and 3. And if you drink heavily alcohol, or if you eat cold foods, that affects your body. Your stomach can't digest, your liver will have a hard time processing and removing the toxins. You may become awake during that time. If you notice you're getting up, if you're noticing that you're hot and your body is you're sweating, that's your liver working overtime. So try not to eat late at night, snacks, and just stop earlier. And notice, that's another thing to be aware of. And I've had to make a few adjustments myself and notice that I sleep a lot better, and I don't have those night sweats. Those night sweats are not for just women who have going through menopause. It could be anybody. My husband gets up too at a certain time. I'm like, well, what did you have before you went to bed? Oh, nothing. Yeah, okay, whatever. You know. Never
You're
listen to
like,
me.
you
That's all right. You
lie.
lie. I know you. So yeah, that's part of that, being aware of how you're feeling as well.
And you were talking about time as well. When it's good to try to transition to getting up before 6 a.m., and you can slowly do that. And then inviting in a morning exercise as well, and that'll help that.
Yeah. Can we talk about that? Because
Yeah.
I had that. So morning exercise. All right. So if you're not a morning person, that's fine. You can sleep a little later, but sun salutations are great. Sun salutations are a series of movements that we do in yoga, and you don't have to do them. You can look up sun salutations somewhere, but it is about greeting the sun and moving the body up and down, moving the spine really in all directions. You're flexing, you're extending the spine, you're rotating the spine, side bends, all those things that are also benefit the liver and the gallbladder. So sun salutations are a great way to greet the day. Joint rotations. Why joint rotations? Well, the liver and the gallbladder rule, quote unquote, rule or affect the tendons and the ligaments. And the tendons and the ligaments hold bones to bones or muscles to the bones. And they become stiff, especially in winter or when we wake up in the morning. So simple joint rotations. I think Jennifer may have some videos on her Rumble station. Check that out as well. Those are great and easy to do. You can do them sitting down. So I highly recommend joint rotations. And I did have something. Oh yeah, you know what is also great? Facial massages. Putting oil, and I don't have it, but oil here, putting it on your face and tapping the face, or taking your ring finger, not your ring finger, your index finger and your middle finger, and bending and using the knuckles against the jawline and going up, getting that jawline. So anything with the face, because the gallbladder meridian works up the side of the body from the foot. Forgot which toe, forgive me, but along the side of the body, and it works its way all the way up the head, and around the ears. So also scalp massage is wonderful. Have somebody do a scalp massage or do it on yourself. And it stimulates the scalp. And if you have a headache, you can also do that to help eliminate the headache. And there's some acupressure points in your head that you can focus on to do that as well. And the last one I'll mention, and Jen may have some more things, is tapping. Tapping the body also stimulates movement of energy that is trapped in and around the joints and the meridians. So for the liver meridian, the inner linings of the legs. So starting from the big toe or the ankle, you can start at the ankle, and with loose fits or a tapper or a gentle stick, like a wooden stick, very gentle, just tap on the inner linings of the legs up and down a few minutes. And that's where the liver meridian is. It's also along the upper part of the body towards the liver. So there's just gentle tapping. There's where tapping is it may look silly, but it's really, really powerful to do, right? Anything else to add? I'm sure there's so many more things we can talk about here.
Yeah, absolutely. I did have a few things. Some very are the same. So I'll go through my list and not have any repeats. Taking walks just to help. So like if that's in your practice, and I take walks as well, and I've mentioned it before, but taking walks helps with that upward rising energy when we discussed the wood element. And if you're feeling sluggish, practices that invigorate you, which we mentioned before. Also, we're dealing with the eyes. So maybe practices that can help you change your perspective. If you feel like you're getting stuck, sometimes, this time of year with the heavier energy, we get stuck on things that happened in the past. So you can do like just standing poses. Rose was talking about sun salutations, and there's mountain pose, and then you can do upward reach and the side bends and things like that. So those are nice. And then vinyasa flows are good for flowing movement. But inversions are good for changing perspective, but also there's crane poses, or there's crane in Qigong, there is animal play, animal warm-ups and stuff like that. And crane's a really great one for changing your perspective. Dry brushing is one. You can get a soft bristled brush, even like ones that are made from boar's hair. And now this is good. So if your energy is very high vata, so vata is that airy energy we were talking about earlier. This may not be the best practice for you to do if you're feeling really too light and airy, but if you're feeling that heavy quality energy, then what you do is you gently brush your body with the dry brush down the arms, down the legs, and just those areas where it's comfortable, and it helps to stimulate. And it's kind of similar to what Rose was talking about with the tapping, with the tapper. A little bit different, but kind of along the same wavelength, I suppose. And then oil massages too. Rose was talking about oil massages, but using like warming oils, like sesame oil is a really nice oil if you're feeling cool and stuff like that. So yeah, but also with Qigong, again, I talked about crane with the eyes, but tiger play is also associated with the wood element. So I think that a really good thing to do is to take into consideration the foods, the practices, the mindsets, figure out which ones would work for you, and then try to establish a routine that you can stick to and have it. I know for myself, If I wake up, I'll say, okay, I'm going to get up tomorrow by a certain amount of time, but then I get up and I don't have an idea what I'm going to do, and I have to think of it that morning. So I try to have a plan the night before, of what I'm going to do, like if I'm incorporating a new exercise. So establishing a routine is really nice, but exercise in the morning if possible. Be asleep by 11. Rose even said 10 o'clock and awake before 6 a.m. And then this will get easier as you move later into spring as well. And like we said before, just flowing with the energies of the season. And one great way that you can flow with the energies of the season is to just sit in nature and sense what the energy is like around you. And where Rose is and where I am, the spring season energy right now is completely different. I would say they're doing 180s from each other. Would you say, Rose?
Oh yeah, so different. We have snow, then we have 70-degree weather. I'm shedding coats and everything. So yeah, so
Yeah. And
yeah,
I'm outside like doing gardening and stuff.
gardening,
So
planting. It'll happen here soon. We'll have an emergence of buds on the trees, and then a big old winter frost will come and take it all away, unfortunately.
yeah.
But you know what? It is what it is. There's impermanence everywhere, as Buddha says, and you just have to live with it and know
Yeah.
that's part of the cycle. We can't control that. But
Yeah. So, like I said, so if you sit out in nature and you just try to sense that energy, and just invoke and meditate on the elements that are around you, the water, the earth, the air, the fire, the wood, all those things, and then just take note. And this is a great practice to do every season because
yeah,
you just tune into Mother Nature and what she's doing right now. And I think that's a wonderful thing you can do.
I do recommend one thing, something what my yin teacher, uh, I remember saying is that in spring with the wind, you always have this wind and it could come up anytime and it's still cool. And, everybody's constitution is different. Some people are warmer, some people are cooler. I'm more of a cooler person. I get colder. Always keep the kidney area and the upper body wrapped and warm. You don't want any coolness or wind to go into these areas or these organs because that can create disharmony as well. And you may not know it, but just keep a shawl or a light jacket with you at all times. Just because it's 70 degrees, you don't want to, I don't know, you may start wearing shorts and shorts. Everybody's different, like I said, but just be mindful of that. If you do tend to run on the cooler side, protect the yang side of the body, the back body, protecting the kidneys, especially where we store our chi. Right, that's the source of our chi. So we want to store that.
I didn't know that. I love that. I'm going to
Yeah,
make sure I'm going to be mindful of that.
your neck always,
Yeah.
and that's where our soul, our spirit, comes from. And so we want to make sure that none of that good chi escapes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Beautiful.
it's all about the chi.
And I just wanted to let everybody know too is that I'm absolutely not perfect with all of these things. And all the things Rose and I talk about, these are practices that I guess you could say, come back to. Would you say that's a good word for it? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, we use these as our anchors. So
Yep.
we use our knowledge as anchors for us to come back to. So, it's never like it's a fun thing. It's not anything to, I don't know. What's
But
the word I'm looking for? Like so hard on it. Like,
well, I think you and I have experienced a lot of things, and the things that we're talking to you about are things we've that have benefited us, and that's why we're so um, intent on sharing it with you. It's not like we're just picking up a magazine and saying, "Well, this looks good. Let's talk about it." No, I mean I've been to Ayurvedic doctors that have cured me. Yoga has cured me. Qigong has changed my life. Some of these other things with traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, which I didn't even talk about, right? Works on the meridians. These things have changed me. Learning how to live with the seasons have changed me. So And I know same with Jen. And that's why we're here sharing it. And it's a lot, I'm talking about Ayurvedic 25 years ago. I went to an Ayurvedic doctor. So, and now things are just starting to come up with information, more and more information about these practices and so forth. So there's a lot out there. So just try something. If it resonates with you, if anything that we said, say, oh, what, that sounds interesting. Maybe that's how it all starts. Oh, it resonates with me. Okay, well, let me look into it a little bit more. And we're here to answer your questions and maybe even guide you to some resources. So please reach out. There's so many resources out there. And you have to be discerning as well. So, but that's why we're here. We're not experts in everything, but from experience, we've done all these things that we've talked about. We've done them ourselves. We've benefited from them.
Yeah. And I want to say too, this is never a substitute for any type of things that you may want to talk to your own doctor about. So,
absolutely. But find doctors that, that you can talk to them about these type of things. There are not a lot that exist, but maybe there are. There are a lot of holistic doctors and books and information and resources out there as well on some of these things. So we hope you enjoyed all that information.
Yeah.
And if it's too much, just listen to the episode again or reach out and let us know, because it is a lot. We love to share
yes,
everything
we do.
we know, right? So
yeah. Well, I hope everybody has a beautiful transitional time into spring, and that that you're able to just kind of shed your wintry cloak and just have a beautiful, fun time.
Yeah, slow down and enjoy the buds on the trees and the sun on your face, and feel that passion and that energy within you grow just like all of nature around you. So
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And we'll see you next time on Chat Off the Mat. We want to thank you for joining us today. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to our websites and social media platforms, and to send us any email with questions or comments. We look forward to connecting with you again for some more Chat Off the Mat.